Okay, so guys, tone of voice. Tone of voice. By the way, my solo pod, I kind of like doing the solo pod. Like, I love talking to Cole and Corey, but like my solo podcast, I get to just vibe and have fun. Okay. So this is gonna start out with a vulnerable share because the way that I came to this realization was because I actually fucked up. So let me explain how I made a mistake. So I don't think I've ever talked about this on the podcast. I'm getting nervous. Okay, I'm just gonna come out and say it. I do weed gummies on the weekends. So during the week, I have this rule where, like, during the week, I'm super diligent and religious, and like not religious, but like I'm very diligent and disciplined. And then on the weekends, I like to take weed gummies. They're fun. It's just something I do to chill out. I go to the store and I buy a marijuana gummy and I consume it. Anyways, so my rule with marijuana gummies is that, like, I do it on my off days to just relax, right? Like, that's like my relaxation thing. And my rule is also that I don't do it during the week. It's like a fucking like rule. It is a rule. I don't do it during the week. So Monday comes around and I'm chilling, right? And Monday night I just finished my work, whatever. And Monday night comes around and I'm sitting there and I'm like watching TV. I'm like, fuck, man. I'm like, I'll just take one. Fuck, who cares? Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, whatever. So Kirsten has this thing where she likes to drink a glass of wine. And then I have a thing where I like to take weed gummies. So during the week, I don't take it and she doesn't drink wine. That's our rule, right? That is our rule. So it's Monday and I took one and me and Kirsten are hanging out and I like looked at her and me and Kirsten have such an honest, open relationship that it's really fucking hard for me to like be in the same room and not be telling her the truth. So literally we're like sitting across from each other and I look at her and I'm like, I took a weed gummy. And she's like, you what? She's like, it's Monday. She's like, you said, and she like ripped into me for half an hour. And like, I knew she ripped into me for like 15 minutes at least. And I knew it. Like, I actually love being in a relationship where somebody calls me on my shit. So I knew that I fucked up. And I was like, while she was talking to me, I'm like, I know. I'm like, I'm such an idiot. I'm like, fuck, I know. I said I wasn't going to, and I did. I was like super guilty, super upset at myself. So like Kirsten was like, well, like, what's the punishment going to be? And I hadn't thought about the punishment yet. Like, I hadn't really thought about, because like everything that we do, like I have to have consequence. I know you guys are laughing and I know that like this doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but for me, like if I ever break my integrity, like if I ever say I'm going to do something and then I don't do it, like it's a big deal for me. Like I fucking don't like doing that. Like I don't like saying that I'm going to do something and then not doing it. It like bothers the shit out of me. So I'm sitting here with broken integrity, figuring out what my punishment's going to be. And I made the decision while I was on the weed gummy, by the way. I made the decision on what I was going to do to punish myself. So I decided that as a punishment, I was going to read out a quote that's on my wall for 10 minutes straight, over and over and over again. So I like fucking parked my ass in my corner. I put myself in a corner and I made myself read my poster. And this is what this poster says. It says, have unshakable integrity. The most powerful thing a person can do is exactly what they say they will. Your word must print $100 bills. What you say happens. Anything else is unacceptable. It makes you untrustworthy to anyone smart or successful. So I was reading this quote so that I could ingrain in my mind why it's so important to be integral. But after reading the quote for 10 minutes straight, I started to realize something. I'm like, man, I must have said it 100 different times. And what I realized without intentionally realizing it is you can say the same thing 100 times and have it sound different. So I'm going to say the same thing, but I'm going to say the same thing a lot slower, right? Have unshakable integrity. The most powerful thing a person can do is exactly what they say they will. Your word must print $100 bills. What you say happens. Anything else is unacceptable. It makes you untrustworthy to anyone smart or successful. So you can say it slow, right? Now you can say that same thing in another different way. So I can go back into that same quote and I can say that a different way. And I can say it a little bit more fast now. Have unshakable integrity. The most powerful thing a person can do is exactly what they say they will. Your word must print $100 bills. What you say happens. Anything else is unacceptable. It makes you untrustworthy to anyone smart or successful. It sounds different, doesn't it? Now, you can say that same thing, but you could say it a lot quieter. Have unshakable integrity. The most powerful thing a person can do is exactly what they say they will. Your word must print $100 bills. What you say happens. Anything else is unacceptable. It makes you untrustworthy to anyone smart or successful. So I could say this, I could say it fast. I can say it slow. I can say it high. I can say it low. I can say it quiet. I can say it loud. And the way that I say something, the way that I communicate is going to determine my success or failure in life. Have any of you guys ever listened to a YouTube video that you knew like was informative, but the presenter just bored the shit out of you? Have you guys ever had that? Or have any of you guys ever been in a class in school where like the teacher was really smart, but every time you were listening to him, you're like, I want to bang my head against the wall like multiple times, like please stop talking because you're so boring. Has anyone ever had that? Or do you guys have a friend that might have like a super high pitched voice? Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like the way that people communicate makes a significant difference in the actual message that's coming across. Now, I realized this because I gave myself a punishment and I wrote a quote out 100 different times in 10 minutes. But every time I read that quote, I tried to say it a little bit differently because I was bored as hell. I was reading a quote for 10 minutes. So I'm going to say it again. Have unshakable integrity. The most powerful thing a person can do is exactly what they say they will. Your word must print $100 bills. What you say happens. Anything else is unacceptable. It makes you untrustworthy to anyone smart or successful. Does this make sense? Are you guys getting this? So the message that is coming across is going to be different based on how I say it, based on how fast I say it and how slow I say it, or how high I say it, or how low I say it, or how quiet I say it, or how loud I say it. Now we understand this and we communicate every single day. My question for you is, how often do you practice speaking? Like, guys, for those of you guys that are interested in growing a successful online fitness business, like, okay, so before we get into this, it's been said that 97% of your communication is nonverbal, right? So we've got body language that plays a role. We've got tone of voice that plays a role. And then there's the actual words being said. It's said that the actual words being said are only 3% of your total communication style, right? That's why, for those of you guys that have kids, if you have a kid that's like, I'm sorry, and like they're not actually sorry, you're like, no, you're not sorry, because I can tell by your tone of voice that you're not sorry. Like you're sub-communicating that you're not sorry. Or even if you guys are in, like those of you guys that are in relationships and you get into a fight with your partner and one person's like, okay, I understand. And it's like, no, you don't fucking understand, because I can tell by the way that you said I don't understand that you don't understand. So 97% of our communication is nonverbal. And when we're online coaching and they can't see your body language like through a phone call, how much more important do you think that tone of voice is? If we're on a phone call with a potential client and they can't see our body language, how much more important do you think your tone of voice is? It's everything. It's absolutely everything, which is why you can have two students, you give them the same phone script. One of them has confidence, certainty, excitement. The other one goes through the script meekly and quietly and is unsure of the words that they're saying. And that one student that's excited will crush the fuck out of the other student every single time. Same script, same words, same language, different delivery. But guys, we're not just talking about phone calls here. Those of you guys that get on Instagram stories and you talk to your stories, yo, you can go look at how you talk. That's the best part about social media. If you're not sure about how your tone of voice comes across, go watch your own lives. After being aware of this, how fast are you talking versus how slow are you talking? How high are you talking versus how low are you talking? How quiet are you talking versus how loud are you talking? How are you communicating? Or maybe you're just going into phone calls completely monotone and not excited even a little bit, right? And guys, for me, I'm all about creating like range. So that's like the best way to describe it. Like I'm a very fast talker. Those of you guys that listen to the podcast, you know that. And so for me, when I was working on my speaking skills, I focused on slowing down. I remember back when I was fitness coaching for Aesthetic Nation, one of the things that I worked on was delivering my calls slower because I tend to talk super fast. And so whenever I'm nervous or excited or whatever, anxious, then I automatically default to talking fast. So for me, it was practicing talking slower. For you, maybe you're naturally a slow talker, so you might need to practice speeding it the fuck up and getting to the point. Maybe when you talk, like also guys, like be aware of your tonality when you're asking questions. As an example, like I can say like, what's your number one goal right now? Like I can kind of like have like high, like I can have my pitch go high, or I can be like, what's your number one goal right now? Like what is your number one goal that you want to accomplish right now? So I can have that tone kind of coming down. Or I can be like, okay, so if we look to your fitness journey, like what would you say your number one goal is right now? I'm kind of like going up with my pitch, or I can go down with my pitch. So you can play with it, right? You can play with your tone of voice and see how it comes across. We're not going to get too into this because like this could be an entire training on like tonality and tone of voice, etc. But I want you guys to be aware that you're saying things without actually saying them. And especially for your phone calls, because people can't see your body language, you're saying a lot more on your calls with the tonality that you're communicating with. And if you don't know whether or not your tonality is good, then join a coaching program. And I'm not even just saying mine, like you need to get feedback because you might be getting on calls with prospects all the time and you're either sounding like a robot or you're sounding like you need them and they don't need you, or you're sounding like desperate for coaching because of your tone of voice. And you might not even be aware of it because you're not getting any feedback. So you need to get feedback from coaches that can be like, you're actually doing that wrong. And you need to improve here and you need to improve it. And if you're in the 10K Academy, this is your friendly reminder. You better get your ass to Savage Sales tonight at 4 p.m. PST or 3:30 p.m. PST. But guys, what you say is everything. How often do you practice speaking? And not just phone calls. I'm also talking about live streams. Like those of you guys that are getting on lives and delivering value to your audience, like I view live streams as an opportunity for me to practice my communication skills. Because being better on live and like being able to go live on the podcast now 5 times a week, and like most of the time I don't have anything like pre-scripted. It's just like now I'm able to just do it. But the reason that I got better at communicating was I went on live more and I practiced my communication skills. And when you're on live the next time, for those of you guys that are like, I want to grow, I want to reach the next level, I want to be a better communicator so I can attract more clients. If that's you, then practice your communication skills. Like go watch your previous live and ask yourself, am I talking really fucking quiet or am I yelling at people? Or maybe I'm just talking in the same tone. So practice high and low tones. Like just practice like adding some stuff in, emphasizing some words, right? Maybe not emphasizing, but emphasizing. Like just focus on pausing, maybe. The way that you're saying something is actually communicating more than what you're saying. Same thing with your phone calls, you guys. If you're getting on calls with prospects right now and you're not practicing how you communicate, then you don't know how you're coming across. And so you might think that you're like, yo, I'm running through this script and I'm like killing it. But your prospect might think like, this guy sounds super needy. And you might not know unless you're practicing. And so you need to be aware of your tone of voice when you're communicating on phone calls, right? And it's the easiest possible way for you guys to practice this, by the way, 100%, no questions asked. The easiest way for you to practice your tone of voice is your Instagram stories. And I know that after this podcast, the next time you go on your Instagram story, you're going to overthink it. So don't fucking do that. Just turn on your Instagram story and literally just start talking. Hey, what's going on? It's Mackenzie Grace. I just wanted to wish you the best day of your life. And watch it. Like maybe do like a minute rant. I wanted to wish you the best day of your life. And also, I live in Edmonton, Alberta. It's super sunny out, and I'm an online coach. And just like talk for a minute, and then watch yourself and ask yourself like, how do I come across? Do I come across? And you'll be able to know, like we all know, Once you watch yourself and you're aware of this, you'll know, do I come across confident, strong, or maybe do I come across like maybe a little bit? Like you'll be able to know. And if you don't know, ask for feedback. That's why you're in a coaching program, right? Does this make sense? What you say matters, but not nearly as much as how you say it. How you say it is fucking everything. That's why two people can join the same program, use the same script. One comes at it with energy, excitement, enthusiasm, and the other one comes across monotone, and the guy with energy or the girl with energy fucking crushes every single time. What you say matters, but it doesn't matter nearly as much as how you say it.